On this week's Audiobook Club, we celebrate the release of Richard Osman's fourth novel. His first three novels were set primarily in a retirement village in the Kent countryside, where the Waitrose delivery vans clink with wine and repeat prescriptions every time they pass over the cattle grid. Novel number 4 is set on a slightly larger stage.
Part 1. From the New Forest to South Carolina. Part 2. From South Carolina to Dubai, via St. Lucia and County Cork. Part 3. From Dubai to a small bench by a quiet pond.
Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
Welcome back to another episode of Audio Book Club, where we recommend audiobooks, oddly enough, with myself, Steve Phillips, and with me as ever is Matt Layton. Hey, Matt.
Hello, Steve.
So, we solve murders. Now, let's go back a little bit to our last episode. We recorded Yellow Face by Rebecca Kwong and the brilliant Helen Laser and the brilliant Ashley Haddad for Radio 4. And then after that, what we're going to do next week. So, and then we hit upon Richard Osman, who had a new book out.
Yeah, can I just do this? We saw the end of Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond and James May doing 22 years worth of car stuff a week ago. And again, sorry if I'm too on the nose in terms of, toxic masculinity and all that stuff that I'm famous for.
Too soon.
Too soon? Too soon. But yeah, they used to be very good at writing gags in the office and then putting them live on the show and making it seem as if they were being genuine and spontaneous. We, of course, aren't as good at that. So what I'd like to do is reconstruct a conversation that you and I had over the phone in our weekly planning meeting last week. And I'm going to do it in an amateur dramatic style.
Oh, great. Shall I get ChatGPT going in? In the style of an English gentleman.
In the style of an English gentleman.
Pair of English gentlemen from Verona.
So, the Audio Book Club Amateur Players present things that Steve and Matt said in the office last week.
Yeah, I can just see the downloads dropping off like from here. That's not part of the conversation, by the way.
Hello, Steve.
Hey, Matt. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. What are we going to do next week, Steve?
Well, Richard Osman's got his new book out, so, that's going to be pretty good. We Solve Murders.
Oh, so he has. As I consult Audible now on my computer while talking to you, I can see that he's got, oh no, not another new narrator, Nicola Walker.
Yeah, the brilliant Nicola Walker.
Why can't he hold on to like a single narrator for more than 2 books? What is wrong with this man?
Are you saying why can't he hold on to Leslie Manville and so on?
I would like to. No.
No.
Yes, that's what I mean.
No.
You wait till you hear what I've got to say about Nicola Walker.
Oh, no. Delete.
No, back to the script. Go on.
Tracking is back in. Yes. Well, actually, Matt, there's a reason why Nicola Walker's narrating it. That's because this is not Thursday Murder Club. This is a brand new series.
Oh, my God. Yes, of course.
Should we jump into our audiobook club time machine now and come back to a couple of weeks later, filling in a few weeks of mundanity and so on?
Yeah, let's do that.
So there we are. So a brand new series from Richard Osman. We Solve Murders, completely new set of characters, set in completely different circumstances, but still a big wodge of domesticity in it as well.
Yeah, there is. Listen, just before we dive into the book itself, you know how we get accused of... I get accused
many things.
But often being a bit near the knuckle, smutty, rude and slapstick.
Yeah, that hasn't really. We've ticked a few off there already this week. Yeah,
we've done most of those already. But we have this feature called Notes from the Margin, which is when we've got something to say about not the main audiobook that's anything else but. And this week saw the release of Derren Brown's Boot Camp for Memory, which is an Audible exclusive podcast. and it's his fourth one. I've done the first three as they came out, and they are, hold on, Boot Camp for the Mind, Boot Camp for Life, and Boot Camp for Emotion. And, this is in his new guise, not as stage magician, but as an anti-self-help guru, I would say. These are almost psychological documentaries. And the new one, I started listening to it, but as I perceived and thought, I thought this was going to be difficult. Whenever he talks about memory, it's all about constructing a mind palace. And indeed, I was right, and I was asked to remember things in certain order, and I had to put it down. But before I put it down, I have to say, you think we're good at gratuitous smut? This is the best piece of gratuitous smut that I've heard this week.
To show that the king is in residence, staying in it on his royal holidays. Have you got that? Next word is sugar, so now we link flag and sugar. So we can imagine a delicious, sugar-coated flag, pink and fluffy like candy floss. You're licking the pole, because that's the sort of thing you do. Maybe you don't like it at first, then you start to enjoy it and you can't stop. Where was I? Oh yes, octopus is next. So sugar and octopus.
Yes.
Well, there's nothing like a bit of harmless innuendo. Slash innuendo.
No. Should we move on?
Yes, let's drag us back. Drag us back to the matter at hand before we go straying off into the world of smut, as usual.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist that one. It made me laugh.
No, I'm glad you did it. And
glad you did.
And I've got the advantage of seeing your cherubic little smiling face, content and sated by this week's ration of smut being.
I am 10. Yeah. I don't care.
Matthew Layton, indeed. So we solve murders.
Sorry.
Now, can I just, first of all, now a little bit of background about this, and we want to pose you a question this week. Well, I want to pose this question, generally speaking. You've got an author who you really love, and you can't wait till their next book comes out. And you kind of get into the flow of the way they tell the story. You bond with the characters much, even closely with each and every book that comes out. And then suddenly they bring out a brand new series, completely new characters, different storytelling, different scenarios, and so on. Is there a perception in how you feel about this, depending on what you listen to first? Because you and I are in the unique position is I've not really engaged with the Thursday Murder Club here.
Oh.
So this is my first real full end-to-end experience of Richard Osman's detective writing. Because I know we did do Thursday. This is our second Richard Osman episode. But I couldn't really get into Thursday Murder Club. It was kind of, I kept tuning out. I think there had other stuff going on. But I didn't mean to keep tuning out, but I just found myself tuning out because other stuff was happening. So I'm now much more ready to get into it. But, so I come from the point of view as I loved We Solved Murders. I'm really bought into all the characters in it. And you are on a brand new series now from the same author, having really loved Thursday Murder Club. So that's the discussion. What do you prefer, do you think?
I did approach this with a little bit of trepidation. I was a bit nervous. And actually, the opening couple of chapters of the book are a little bit difficult. You did your chat GPT joke earlier on. And the opening chapter of the book is we have an attachment to the characters from the Thursday Murder Club, as I do. So Ron, Joyce et al. Yeah, to suddenly have to think, I'm going to have to learn all these new characters. I was, again, as you say, I'm emotionally attached to him as a writer. And now that I listen to the Rest is Entertainment podcast twice a week, it's very, very good. Listen to it after this one, which he presents. I'm really impressed with him. I don't think it's possible to be that nice. As I say, I think the last time I mentioned a tweet that he did, in the cesspit that is X these days, he just went on, isn't tying shoelaces complicated? Well done, everyone. And that just seems to be the sort of the affable positivity thing that he does, that is his brand. And I know he works very hard.
Yeah. Well, he is affable, isn't he? I mean, he's the new, he's like the next generation of affable. I mean, we had people like Des Lynam back in the day as like the pinnacle of affability. Gary Lineker's tried to sort of take that on, really. And of course, he's begat. Not literally begat. What is begatting, by the way? I'll chat GPT it. But Richard Osman has come along. Not Gary Lineker's. The only reason they're linked is because Gary Lineker runs Goalhanger.
Reel it back in, Steve.
Reel it back in. Just climbing out of this hole. Thanks very much. I'm out again.
Focus.
But through obviously Pointless, where he sort of came to the fore on screen, he is he knows the entertainment industry inside out because of everything he's done in the past. But he's he's very down to earth, isn't he? You can tell, I could really tell that's Richard Osman writing this. You can hear him saying all these things on his podcast, for example. So yes, that's the affability of Richard Osman, I think, covered. So yes, please carry on.
Well, look, this is the book. We're meant to do it in a structured way. You've totally walked us off down some weird path. Mind you, the man who...
Hang on, Mr. Smutty. What?
Mr. Pole Licker.
Yeah, Mr. Pole Licker. Like candy floss.
Look, let's do it our usual way. So we start with the author, we move on to the book, and then we have a look at, does the audiobook improve the offering? And in terms of the author, Richard Osman, of course, has had a long and storied career initially as a television producer. And I gather that he goes back to the early 90s, where he was a production assistant on the UK, or studio producer on the UK version of Whose Line Is It Anyway? Then involved with creating and selling quiz formats around the world. And then, sort of by accident, he ended up starring as co-host of Pointless, a BBC quiz show that if you live in the UK or Australia, you've probably seen and are aware of. And then, of course, then came his new career. He said, I haven't had enough of being better than two things than you. I'm going to have a third career. And the third career is as a novelist. And he wrote 3 Thursday Murder Club books, all of which I loved. And I'm addicted to those books. I'm addicted to the genre. I'm sorry I've forced them down your throat. And you're right, you called me out the other day. I think it probably is my favourite genre. But yeah, so heading into this book, We Solve Murders, there are 2 main characters. And I remember Osman talking about it, Mr. Osman talking about it on his podcast recently. And he was commenting, or being an interview, I can't remember. Chris McCausland is the blind comedian who's recently done a programme where he's dragged to loads of different places around the world. And Richard Osman said, that's not me at all. In fact, I'm writing a series of books where the protagonist, he gets to travel to all the exotic Bond-style locations, but like me, he's a bit of a homebody and would rather, think about, the quiz night in the pub or sitting down with the cat and watching television. And the main character in this one, Steve, ironically, he and again, I think I spotted him as the main character a little earlier than he's not the first person you meet. It's about the 4th person whose head you get into in the course of this book.
Yeah,
but I had my spidey senses on, he's forced into going abroad. And this sounds like a comic thing, but actually what I thought is that it was really sensitively done. The other main character, and I've had to say there are a lot of people in this book, but I've used the description on Audible to confirm in my head that the other main character and other half of the dynamic duo at the centre of this book is his daughter-in-law, Amy. And again, who's heard of that? There's Cagney and Lacey, Dempsey and Makepeace, but Starsky and Hutch. But who on earth pairs a father-in-law with a daughter-in-law in a buddy cop duo? And I think he likes to confound us in that way and to play with that kind of thing. And I think it really works. Well, what about you?
I really... you mentioned that murder mystery is probably your favourite genre, and there's completely nothing wrong with that, because I've got my biases, I've got my favourite genres, and they do occasionally surface on this podcast.
We're doing factual next week.
Yeah, exactly. But I really liked the characters from the off. Actually, I got into it very, very quickly. I love his writing style, and I think this is actually part of when you're listening to an audiobook. I think we all ingest them in very different ways. Because I'm not a natural reader, which is not really a good thing for a host of an audiobook podcast, but I have to be in a certain set of circumstances. Once I'm bought into a book, I am hooked. I am hooked, and I will go to it right to the very end. But if there's something distracting me, if I don't get that much time in the car, because this week I've had to do a lot of long journeys, so I've got through it anyway. But I really got into this book very, very quickly. His writing is so accessible. He's got very relatable lines in there. The characters are very relatable. The settings initially, those areas in the New Forest, I knew some of those towns, some of those places that were cited. Occasionally, the plot lost me. Maybe that might be my fault, because I was, tuning out, I was driving, I was concentrating on something else. But I was managing to follow the plot and all the characters and all the threads. He makes you work, but in a really kind of easy way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He makes you follow the thing, but he writes in a very accessible way. It helps having, 101 odd chapters as well. It's quite short chapters, and everything is very... there's low barrier to entry, I think. If you're not naturally given to murder mystery, this is the one you should start with for me, because this is the one I've actually started with.
Yeah, okay. Look, I agree with you, and I've just thought of a phrase that I'm going to use over and over again, and it is, yeah, Steve, he doesn't write in crayon. The headline of the Thursday Murder Club books was that, it's in a retirement village. They all drink wine at lunchtime. They're all quite old and, they're happy and sad. But actually, the story is quite dark, and all of the characters are really richly portrayed. And yeah, if you're not concentrating, as can happen with an audiobook, and you miss something, then it is going to affect you. As much as he is portrayed as a mainstream gentle, genteel Sunday evening murder writer, there is real depth and thought in what he writes, both in terms of, for me, it's Steve, the lead character, headline was, he ends up in St. Lucia in South Carolina, but really he'd rather be at home watching television. And that could be, an irritating stereotype until you learn that he used to be a Met police officer, and he's widowed, and he talks to his wife via his dead wife via his dictaphone, and his I don't like travelling is very subtle, involves grief and the way that anxiety builds as you get older. So it's quite, it's subtler than you think it's going to be if you watch Richard Osman being interviewed on, one of those television programs with a sofa on it, which he enjoys, and he does quite a lot and has been out doing that for the last week. But it's not as light as that. There's more to find in there if you're looking for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it completely makes sense. No, that's a really... You put it better than I ever could, Matt. That's why you do what you do. Yeah, so you put it better. And actually, have you heard the phrase... This is a genuine question, by the way, because I've not heard of this. The phrase cozy crime.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not, is it? It looks like it's Inspector Morse, doesn't it? But it's definitely darker and more insightful into human nature, and there's 10.5 hours of it, not just 1 hour, focused on one story and some amazing characters, which I think leads us to go, well, is it improved by being an audiobook, Steve? Does the audiobook for you bring something to the party as opposed to the old pulp tree book?
It does, yes, because of Nicola Walker, really. I mean, she was really good at characterizations. I felt, really rounded the characters. She was great playing from, Rosie, the American, superstar writer, to, Mickey Moody.
It's funny you've fallen right into my trap. Now, as you know, I've had to go on a couple of training courses because of my prior behaviour, so I shall leave my feelings about Nicola Walker in general, the actress from Spooks, as far as I'm concerned, and also the Scandi thing she does on the radio, and also the voice of the station sound elements for the Seventh Dimension on BBC Radio 4 Extra. That's her voice. I'm going to leave my thoughts to one side because they're not acceptable or correct in these enlightened times, but I've learnt that very well.
We'll talk about that off air because it feels like there's a story there.
Well, don't, Steve, because you'll have to go on the training course too.
Right, okay. Right, okay. I was never like this before I met you.
Well, exactly. But 10 hours and 53 minutes of her guiding us through Richard Osman's world. Her voice in its neutral narration state is beautiful and chocolatey and has dynamic range and it's like a nice warm hug and one of those chocolate fondant things that they're spongy on the outside and gooey in the middle. She is audio comfort food. And then you mentioned the characters, and what I've done, frankly, Steve, is lined up a series of clips of her doing each of the characters. And again, as we always say on this show, and if you go back and look at the stuff we do online, the greatest accolade we give is if we're neutral on somebody's performance or how someone reads a book, we will say narrated by. But if we love what somebody's done, what they've brought to the role, we go performed by. And Nicola Walker certainly performs this book, doesn't she?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, you call out a character, and I'll play you a clip.
Okay. Can you give me Jeff Nolan?
No.
Oh, right. Not so...
but good.
Okay,
no,
all right. Give me Steve Wheeler. Do Steve Wheeler.
All right, we've got Steve. One of my favourite Steve clips is him meeting an American border guard called Carlos Moss. Do you remember this bit, Steve?
I do, yes. Very good.
And and not only is this quite a good point of, Richard Osman's characters are not one-dimensional. His aim with meeting Richard Moss is to wind him up to the extent that he gets taken backstage at the airport that he's landed at so he can have a look at the security cameras and do some detective work. And he decides that the way he's going to do that is by winding up the rather large and frightening You know what the people at immigrations in the States are like. They're really, really frightening. And I'll tell you a story about when I was turned away from the border at some point. But by a man called Officer Bott, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can make it up.
But so not only is that great, but Nicola Walker does a tremendous job of a conversation between a retired police officer of father-in-law age and a sunglass-wearing American border guard.
This your bag? Carlos Moss motions to Steve's rucksack. The bag I just carried all the way from the plane and pulled my passport out of, says Steve. Yes, it's my bag, Sherlock. Bit much? Is that humour, sir? I hope not. Long flight, says Steve. Also, I'm English. Also, stupid question, Carlos. Carlos lowers his aviator shades once more. Sir, you've made me lower my sunglasses 2 times now. That's plenty enough.
I love that turn of phrase. You've made me lower my sunglasses 2 times now. I'd like to do that and look cool. If I did that, people would just go, yeah.
Conventional radio people tell us off for having clips that are too long, but in a very short space of time there, it's proven many things. Yes, Richard Osman's sense of humour, and light touch, frankly, his ability to write different voices. It's Nicola Walker, and men can't do women, and there are very few women who can do men in the narration/performance world. But as a bloke, I genuinely believed in Mr. Moss, in Officer Moss, and I genuinely believed in Steve in that scene. And it's just, I mean, to me, there are two scenes with Officer Moss, and they kind of reflect each other. For me, they're an important part of the book. They're really nice set pieces, and it involves Van Halen and airships, and that's how he gets him on side. It's just, a very delicate touch, I thought. I really like that. Now, next characters, and as long as you suggest, can you do Amy and then Rosie, we should be fine. What character would you like next, Steve?
Well, if it's okay with you, I'd like to hear Amy, and if you could follow up with Rosie, maybe. Yeah, as a play this way.
I think that sounds like a great idea, Steve. I wish I'd thought of that.
Oh, very kind of you. Oh, I got it right. Excellent.
So, all right, let's do Amy first. Amy is she's 5'6". She is a bodyguard by profession. She is very... I kept thinking Lara Croft. Is that patronising? Does that just show the lack of female characters who punch things out there?
No, I didn't get... Do you know what? Actually, maybe this is a discussion to have, actually, is that we both agree that Nicola Walker was an amazing performer in this.
Yeah.
And she completely created these characters and turned them three-dimensional, the rest of it. But the three dimensions she created, very different in my mind for Amy.
Okay, all right.
And
Let's listen to a couple of clips and have a row about it then. What do you think?
Yes, have a row.
Okay, so her motto is, she's more of a blow things up and punch things person than a thinker. This is what she says about herself.
And that's the problem right there, Amy, isn't it? When you relax, you think. None of that stuff is her business. Stop thinking. It never works out for you. Hit things, drive fast, diffuse explosives, but for the love of God, don't think.
She is an action woman, isn't she?
Yeah, that's going to be explored, I feel, in later books, because you think this is going to be a series, but that feels like a setup for future character development, doesn't it? Why is she like that?
Well, yes, possibly, but the thing I like, and it may not be, it may be her origin story, where she was working in a gym and two roided up businessmen were clobbering each other with some weights. And then she and her boss, who wasn't her boss at the time, disarmed or calm or broke up the fight, basically. So it's almost that's as much backstory as she would give us, I think, as a character. But the interesting thing for me, again, he likes to undermine things. He's contrary, that Richard Osman, and there's a bit at the beginning where he refers to one of the characters as the most popular novelist in the world, apart from Jack Reacher, and there is very much a bit where I think Amy is a Jack Reacher style character, and excuse me for my blokeism again, but. We always remember that when you're reading a Jack Reacher book, you always get the geometry of a fight, sizing up the situation, hitting first, leading with the elbow so you don't break your fingers. And a similar thing happens here, but of course, in this case, it's a female character, and B, it doesn't work out the way it does for Jack Reacher.
Amy weighs up the odds. Kevin is around 6'2", must weigh upwards of 260 pounds. If she can unbalance him, it's an easy win for her. But Kevin is an ex-Navy SEAL, and Kevin knows that he is 6'2" and heavy. So Kevin also knows that if Amy can unbalance him, it's an easy win for her. Kevin is therefore keeping his distance and letting the gun do the work.
Do you see what I mean? It's like one of those Jack Reacher things, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I just think that's... I don't know. It made me smile. And again, it just indicates that he's a mischievous little imp, you Richard Osman. But he's also one with a good heart who, we've read quite a few books where and I think the Jack Reacher series is one of them, where, you're being snuck, you're diversity vegetables quietly, and stereotypes are being undermined, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. It does. It's really interesting, the character of Amy, actually. She is the most... I don't want to say it's probably the most monotone. I mean, obviously the delivery of each character is not monotone at all, but she is the most kind of, this is why Nicola Walker's performance of Amy really kind of gave me the picture of someone who was, I don't know, stocky, was in uniform before. I'm sort of getting female prison guard vibes, to be honest. That's what I was picking up. I wasn't necessarily picking up Jack Reacher. I was not Jack Reacher, but someone who knew her stuff, but by the book, if you know what I mean.
Well, there, again, Osman does it really cleverly. So her opinion of herself is that she looks all right. Rosie says that she's hot in the context of, and you're hot. Therefore, you probably married someone hot, which probably means her father's hot. So I'm going to have a pop at him. One's just slipped my mind. Sorry, Darren Brown, I haven't done the Memory Palace yet. But there are loads of different ways. She's never described too much directly, which I think is a good idea. We certainly don't know. We know her height and the colour of her eyes, but there are no other physical descriptions or indeed objectification type stuff about her. And Nicola Walker, you'd think it's the voice that would be closest to hers because it's the main English-speaking female character, but she definitely puts on a different voice. She drops her T's a bit and sounds a bit harder when she is speaking Amy's dialogue or thoughts. I think it's I think it's so easy to underestimate this and go, oh yeah, Steven Spielberg's making a film and the other one, this one we've got, but it's just, there's 10.5 hours of depth in this, I think.
Yes, it is. And you can visualize a 10-hour movie throughout this whole thing with the scale. Actually, on Audible right now, all the reviews are, clearly matching ours and clearly glowing. They're all 5 stars, or 4 or 4 out of 5. And people are already casting the characters. One person.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Can I play a Rosie clip before we do it? Because I think those are the 3 main characters that we need to talk about.
Cast instantly.
How did you get this? Rosie asks. Airships and Van Halen, says Steve. I've ridden both in my time, says Rosie.
Rosie,
saucy.
So I'm not the only one. We've bracketed our review with filth. I'm very proud of us, Steve.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so your 3 main characters, let's say they are, there's Steve, the retired Metropolitan Police officer. There is his daughter-in-law, Amy, who is the female British Jack Reacher. And then there is Rosie, the second most popular author in the world, who is of indeterminate age, but towards the end of her years, but has lived a life and still likes adventure.
I wasn't getting towards the end of her years because, frankly, the stuff she was doing...
people doing it?
Oh, I don't want to get onto this subject, really, of old people doing it.
You see, the thing, I have to accept that on the very seldom occasions where I get to do it, I am then an old person doing it.
Well, I suppose, yeah, technically.
Disgust myself. Yeah. Might edit that bit out too.
Oh, you know how you can't get an image out of your head again. Yeah, I'm just picturing you now as 85.
Old people doing it.
Yeah, okay. Right. Okay, so yeah, Rosie. Yeah.
My dad used to tell a wonderful joke where it was a bloke in an old people's home, and the punchline is, I get an erection once every 6 months, but I fall over 10 times a day. And you can build that joke for yourself.
Just adjust as desired.
Pathologically.
Yeah. Season to taste, that one. Yep, season to taste.
Right, that's all coming out, but at least we're laughing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so go on. I was genuinely going to ask you.
Yeah.
Because we know that the other ones, we've got Pierce Brosnan, Ben Kingsley, Helen Mirren, and Celia Imrie, all in the Steven Spielberg film, which of the Thursday Murder Club, which is now being filmed. You know, there was a bit where before that happened, people were casting the roles. Helen Mirren was a unanimous answer. I think Pierce Brosnan, as a West Ham fan, probably makes you feel a bit sick in the back of the throat, doesn't it, Steve?
I think it's really not at all. I think that's really cool. Pierce plus James Bond as a hammer. Oh, amazing. I mean, the thing is that the West Ham fans are extremely passionate. They don't necessarily all sound like me. But you know, they have got the wickedest sense of humour. And these sort of group of fans who sort of fight themselves on the terraces, which is anyway, a football story there. But so people are casting. They're on Audible in the reviews. I'm just going through them now, and actually they're sort of erring on the side. One's erring on the side of more to your Lara Croft than to my kind of Prisoner Cell Block H, Morag off home and away sort of character. But
sorry, now I've thought about it. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to preempt everything you're doing because I want to get my thought out there first.
Go on.
And the answer is I want Amy to be played by Florence Pugh.
Oh, interesting.
About the right age.
What interesting.
Talented actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have that. Steve, former...
We've had Jodie Comer for Amy in the reviews.
Okay,
here.
I don't know that one.
From A Killing Eve and...
Perry Como. What?
Perry Como. No.
Magic Mo.
Jodie Comer, she's amazing. She's incredible. Watch Killing Eve if you haven't haven't had a chance yet.
Okay, father-in-law, Millwall fan. I think I'll probably put you in that role. You'd have to pretend to be a Millwall fan.
Me?
Yeah. I've seen you act, Steve. I've seen you on stage.
Well,
and you played a corrupt police inspector, and my God, were you good at it? So yeah, I'd put you in that role, and then I would want probably Joanna Lumley doing an American accent for Rosie. What about you?
Interesting. So for Steve, I think probably it's sort of like that. I just keep thinking of your kind of crime of the week sort of Sunday evening BBC/ITV detective dramas, So it's like a...
Oh, what about Ted Roach from The Bill?
Ted Roach from The Bill. Yeah, that's a good...
For our North American listeners.
That's a great...
Or Burnside.
Is he still... this is going back a little bit. John Nettles. What about John Nettles? He's only 87 or whatever. No worries. He's still...
Peter Falk.
He can get handy. Peter Falk, yeah. There are loads. I mean, there's a veritable litany of people that kind of bracket who you could get to play him. David Jason, I think would be quite good. Back from a few years ago.
Bit too old?
Well, from a few years ago, maybe we're talking maybe sort of Pop Larkin time, maybe when he's sort of.
But you can't have Nettles and Frost because they've already done Sunday Night.
Yeah,
Detectives.
That's true. You need someone fresh middle-aged meat.
Yeah. Also, this is entirely pointless.
Yes.
And everyone else is doing it online, and we're not adding particularly huge amounts.
What I love though is that Richard Osman. This is what I love about Richard Osman as a person. Actually, is that he knows this stuff. He knows that people were really sort of egging him on for certain actors and actresses to be in Thursday Murder Club. I know that much about Thursday Murder Club. And I really like the fact that he's alive, not just to the story. He's not just an author who sort of buries himself away in his house tapping away, and he's just an author. He knows the whole industry end to end, and he also knows people as well. He knows he's been producers of TV shows. He knows it's knowing the common touch, knowing how to connect with an audience. I think he's excellent at.
Yeah, and everybody thinks he's posh. And he will defiantly say that he's not. The reason Joyce comes across so well in the Thursday Murder Club books, in his opinion, and is that he was brought up by really strong women. He also says he doesn't picture any actors in his head when he's writing. I don't know if that will change once he's seen Helen Mirren and Pierce Brosnan and Sir Ben Kingsley playing their parts, but. Yeah, he claims, he doesn't cast before he writes. These are all the made-up people in his head. So, yeah,
Richard Osman, I'm very, very proud to say, is an Essex boy. In fact, born in Billericay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Wikipedia, obviously, so obviously pinch of salt time, but it does say he then moved to a village near Haywards Heath in West Sussex. So wasn't that? He was born on the 28th of November 1970 in Billericay, Essex. On the 29th, they very quickly moved to Haywards Heath. That's how he sounds the way he does. I don't know. But yeah, he's, everything you just said, I completely agree with.
Okay, so as an East London and Essex native, what did you and knowing that Steve is a Millwall fan and they used to be based in London before they moved to the New Forest in this book, what did you think of Nicola Walker and her portraying both Steve and Amy?
Yeah, great.
What did you think of her voice?
Yeah, really. I think you have to go. It's quite understated. It's not loud and brash. It's very quiet. It's sort of quiet. It's very very few words are spoken as well here.
The occasional T is dropped and a rough edge put into the voice, and I just
that's it. You get a moment on the plane where Steve is suddenly enjoying himself and he's dancing to whatever song that was with Rosie and singing with Rosie and stuff. And so you'll get moments like that, like all us Essex people do at Cockneys. We all gather around the old Joanna in the pub, even now, to let ourselves go by singing a few songs. All right, so that was We Solve Murders by Richard Osman, the latest book, only just out as well. It's getting great reviews. It's 10.5 hours long, published by Penguin Audio, and really worth our listen. This is definitely a thumbs up from this Audiobook Club podcast, certainly. As to next week, we join Ben McIntyre in his recollection and recounting of what happened with the Iranian siege back in the early 1980s in, surprisingly titled, The Siege.
Now, the thing is that I know and you don't, because I've already read it. Actually, Steve, it's all about snooker. You're going to love it.
It's about snooker.
No, the snooker plays an important part in that story, yeah.
Really? It's a biography of Ray Reardon versus Cliff Thorburn. I mean, that will be a slow burner.
Oh, 50%.
No.
50%. Half of that you got right.
Oh, which one? Cliff or Ray?
I look forward to you reporting back next week. Okay. But yes, there is a bit of snooker in the hostage situation in the Iranian embassy in London in the early 80s. So yeah, very close, Steve, very close.
Well, it's the obvious answer. Of course there was snooker involved, obviously. So we'll say goodbye at this point. If you want to get in touch with us at any point, we're pretty much alive on Instagram at the moment at Audiobook Show, if you want to give us a follow. Every week we post what's going to be coming up and what we have just published. Give your thoughts in the comments on there. We'll read them out, of course. Use the hashtag Audiobook Club generally on social media, and we'll pick stuff up and read it out as well there too. Thanks for joining us. Go listen to Richard Osman and his new series, the latest crime-fighting team of Steve and Amy, and we'll see you next week.